कभी साया कभी धूप है, तू मेरे आईने का रूप है, तू जो पास है हर जख्म आजाद है, मेरे सुखों का तू ही तो राज है, तेरी बाहों में अंधेरा भी रोशन सा लगता है, तेरी बातों से अधूरा सपना भी पूरा सा लगता है.
Hi, this is Kamakshi Khanna and you're watching me on midday.com.
Kamakshi, thank you for joining us today at Midday. You know, it's our pleasure that you're here with us. So,
Thank you for having me.
Most welcome. And you started your journey in 2013 with Much Mellow,
Yeah.
as far as I remember. You've completed a decade now in the industry. You've shifted
Yes,
from
I have.
Delhi to Mumbai.
Yeah.
Like, just before the show started, we were talking about, it's like twice that you moved to the city, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about your journey as an artist and that too in Mumbai.
Honestly, when I think about my roots and I think about my entire life as a musician, I associate it more to Delhi because that's where I grew up, that's where I started writing music. That's the place where I met my first friends who are in the music industry. That's where I made my connections. So I still feel like it's a huge part of me. But Bombay was the city that I really needed to kind of move to kind of explore the world a little more. And it's just been a roller coaster ride. I really didn't think I would make it in this industry for 10 years. It was like when I started out, I just wanted to write music, and I've been able to experience so many beautiful things, meet so many incredible artists over the years that really does make it feel worthwhile. And so I started with, actually before I released Much Mellow, if I really go back to when I started, I was a backup vocalist for Euphoria for 3 years.
That's
so that's
very
something
long.
that's something people don't know about me. I was in college, so my
That's a
first
revelation.
year, my first year of college was spent touring the whole time.
Wow.
With them, and I loved the life. I wanted to do more and more of it. I wanted to be on the stage. Then I started writing my own music. I left because I really wanted to focus on my own stuff, and I was a part of a lot of choirs, and I started releasing my own music. In 2014 is actually when I dropped Much Mellow. My family and I together, we organized my first ever concert at India Habitat Center, and then over a period of time, I've just been releasing more and more music. I released an album. Then I taught in a music school for 2 years, where I was just focusing on that. And then I started releasing music again in 2020. So it's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of breaks in the middle, a lot of doubts. But I think right now it's that phase in my life where everything's kind of making sense. Everything is aligning, and I'm really, really grateful for it. Yeah.
Wow. So, that gives me an idea of the fact that you always wanted to be into music.
Yeah.
Since childhood?
I only realized that I can sing when I was around 10 or 11 years old. Before that, I used to just do it for fun. But my school music teacher, he basically really pushed me and encouraged me to sing. And I remember music as like a place where I would sing with a lot of people, and I really fell in love with that process. So I was a part of my school choir, my college choir. I was a part of like choirs outside of school. We traveled to Austria as children. So that was my experience. I got thrown into the experience of being a professional musician very, very early in my life. And once you get a little bit taste of that, you're like, okay, this is a good life. This is what I want to do. If I can actually go on stage and sing in front of people, then I want to kind of do that for the rest of my life. And I still feel that way, thankfully. So
tell us about how did the collaboration for Dur, that song being a part of the Madhuri Dixit series, the Fame Game.
Yeah.
And then Tere Jaisa, like I mentioned, I listen to that song every day.
Yeah.
How did that song and that collaboration with Kota Factory, how did all of these projects mix up, and how did it work?
Strangely, all of this happened when I was in my bedroom in my parents' house during the lockdown. Had no idea that I would be like, you know, when you're chasing a dream, like, okay, I really want my show music to be on web series and movies, and it can sometimes feel frustrating that, you know, it doesn't really work out, because I've been trying for that for so many years. But during the lockdown, I just really put my energies into writing good music and really putting my heart and soul into that. So Dur, the song that actually got featured on the Fame Game, was a collaboration with Oaf, Kabir, Katwalia, and we've been friends for a while. And I sent it to him, a random scratch with like a guitar and my voice, and I was like, "Do you think you can do something to this?" And he loved the song, sent me something back, and we were just remotely collaborating on WhatsApp, Zoom calls, like calling each other up, emails, and we ended up releasing the song independently first. So this was around June 2021, 18 June. That's when we released it. And we had no expectations because it was so different. The lyrics that I wrote with Sameer, Rahat, and my parents were in Urdu, were very heavy, deep lyrics, almost like reminiscent of, you know, ghazals and stuff that we heard growing up. But the production is so like in this ambient electronic pop space that Oaf has really owned music scene right now. And with my voice, which is very heavy, like R&B, warm vocals. So there were three worlds really like colliding to make a really, you know, like a really relatable pop song. So it was definitely something that we had no expectations from, but people loved it. The responses were way better than I expected them to be. And then Anurag Rao, who was the music supervisor on the show, kind of discovered the song. My management was pushing for it as well, Big Bad Wolf at the time. And basically, they really liked the song, and the lyrics fit the show really well. So the show is about Madhuri Dixit, who's the protagonist. She basically goes missing, Anamika, and the lyrics literally are about that, like a song that we wrote about feeling disconnected from in a relationship or feeling disconnected with each other, kind of found its way in a very literal sense in the show, because she actually goes missing and she's physically far away. So we never really thought that story would align like that, but it did, and that's how it got picked up.
Well, you know, I've been talking to a lot of indie singers, you know, working on the series, and I've come to this realization that, like you mentioned, like he's somebody who's known for experimenting with electronic music and stuff, right? In fact, his production for Gehraiya was almost the same lines to an extent.
Exactly.
And also when it comes to folk music, or like you mentioned, the ghazals and, you know, the mix of these things, a singer and different kind of musics and tones. Even Kanishk Seth and Kavita Seth are like that. So don't you think at a point, like collaborating all of the, you know, mixing all of these together, how tough can it come out to? Because when we listen to it, any person who listens to music every day and does not know in detail about how music works would just enjoy the music and not know how much of work is going into it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have to say on that? The difficulty of it, like, is there any struggle that you face when you're making such a music?
Yeah, so Dur, for example, I started writing it in 2016. Like, I wrote the chorus in 2016 and it released in 2021. So that's, I don't even know, like 6 years. So it took like 6 years to put the song together, because I just had a chorus first. I didn't know what to do. I wrote like 3-4 different lyrics, hated all of it. Then I finally met Sameer and I was like, okay, I need your help. I really want somebody who can add some depth to the song. So he actually made the song happen. Then I reached out to Kabir. The song has like, it's really been a challenge to make it happen. Like it was the most challenging song that I've ever written, because of how collaborative it is in nature. I think collaboration is challenging, but it's also so fulfilling. I mean, basic things like making time to meet each other, to talk to each other, to understand each other's needs, because by the end of the day, the song is about my experience. But the way Kabir kind of produced it in a way that reflects his soul, reflects his experiences, and Sameer talking about his experiencing while still maintaining the message of the song and the ethos of the song is very challenging. But I think once you work with the right people, it just makes it so much easier. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of just asking for help. If you're stuck with a song, if you're stuck, you don't know what to do, if you feel like you're lacking something, just be honest and call your favorite artists and reach out to them and write the song with them. So I think collaboration has taught me a lot, and I really, really want to continue collaborating with artists that inspire me. Yeah.
Well, in general also, like in life, in any platform where we are,
Yeah.
I think collaboration works always.
Yeah.
You need to have
definitely.
the right set of people
Yeah.
around you to probably guide you or be a part of the process for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now you're also somebody who's known for writing songs which talk about mental health. How do you work on that?
Writing about mental health really, really helps me, because one exercise that I try to do as much as possible is just journal my feelings down. And when you're journaling, it's messy, right? It's completely
Correct,
just talking about your feelings, your insecurities, your worst fears, your, even moments that give you happiness, and things that confuse you. So you just kind of blurting your thoughts out on a piece of paper. But I think just turning them into art just actually gives me clarity, because then it becomes a melody and I'm like, okay, this is what's going on, and makes me more self-aware. I recently released a song earlier this year called Breathe, which is about the same thing. It's about anxiety, it's about mental health. And I wrote it actually also about specifically struggling with your mental health as an artist, all the self-doubt that comes with it, all the questions that am I good enough. That's, I think everybody has a core belief, I feel, that restricts them, that makes them struggle when it comes to their daily life. And that's something that I've learned over the years, that mine is that I'm not good enough. Like, that's something that constantly holds me back, and it's a belief that is very, very ingrained in my body. And my music actually helps me fight it. My music actually helps me question that belief, And Breathe is a song that's just talking about it, honestly. But in the future, there's songs that are, talking about growing out of that, battling that anxiety. Breathe, for example, has, it's about also, when you're an artist, you kind of have to think about your own schedule. You have to be your own boss. You have to wake up and stay motivated when nobody else in the world is actually asking you to. So it has to come with a lot of you have to have faith in yourself to wake up every morning and say, I'm going to become an artist today, I'm going to write a song today. So the song's talking about how do you do that when you really don't feel like you're good enough. How do you have that faith? How do you make that happen? The song's about that. But towards the end, the song is also, it's about basically like a journey of a mental breakdown, like, how it starts and how it builds up. Even the song, if you hear the arrangement, it starts with just the ukulele and the voice, then you add one instrument after the other. There's so many layers to it, and then it ends into this breakdown where you're just like done with your mind and you're fighting with it. And towards the end, there's this hope. It ends on a hopeful note, which is just, words are softly spoken, but my mind's screaming, which is like, I might be polite, I might be soft spoken, but honestly, my mind has so many negative thoughts that nobody really sees. Eyes are wide open, but I'm still dreaming. So, like, I'm always aware of I'm always somebody who likes to plan. I'm always somebody who, is aware of all the flaws, is super aware of what people might be thinking of me, conscious. But whatever happens, I still have that hope of like dreaming to pursue a career in music. So the whole song is about my journey as a musician and the highs and lows of that. So I think writing about mental health really, really helps me, but it also, the hope is that it can help somebody else who might be feeling the same way.
When you talk about it, I mean, all I could think was that when a viewer sees a movie or listens to a song or just sees a video of a song and the artist performing, they're like, oh my god, their life is so good and it's so jolly and chirpy and happy, right? But they don't know in a way or to an extent that what actually goes behind all of that. Like you mentioned about being your own boss, you have to be disciplined to an extent to make sure that things go right in a way. You're writing this much and you have to work on a song within this turnaround time. And the whole process of it's not easy. It's something you do only when you know that you want to do with all the love that you have.
Exactly.
Right? So I think I feel lucky that I could listen to you talking about this right now. So I mean, coming to the point, and I was reading one of those articles where it was mentioned that you've been a part of a reality singing show.
Yes.
The
That's
stage.
also something most people don't know. But I was on the first season of that show. Yeah. And it was a life-changing experience because before that I was just 21 or something when I was on that show, and I was studying music. My priority was just writing music, but the stage kind of pushed me to focus on the other aspects of being an artist, being an entertainer, putting yourself out there, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, like singing songs that are very challenging for you, being open to being judged by four people that you really look up to. I'll be honest, it was terrifying, the experience for the most part. But once you kind of battle that fear of like this, like I am somebody who has battled with stage fright over the period of years, but that really helped me fight it a little more. And I think the kind of artists that I met, like just being in a room full of singers all the time for a month, was so much fun. And I think it really did push me in the right direction. It pushed me to pursue my career as a performer, as an entertainer, as somebody who's can be on tours, and it really did give me a lot of opportunities as well. At some point we became household names, you know, like, which was really cool, like being stopped at the airport and being asked, oh, aren't you on the stage? I really wish you had made it to the next episode. You know, oh, I wish you hadn't gotten eliminated. Oh, how's that person doing? Like, so people kind of had a little, you know, peek into our lives, and it was a very cool experience for all of us that way. Yeah.
I remember, but because we might have seen that show when you were younger.
Yeah. Exactly.
So now when I see, like, okay, right, she's coming from there, I've seen her there. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself as an independent artist in the coming future?
Touchwood, I feel like I'm happy where I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really, in terms of what I'm doing, I'm writing music that I love. I have an amazing team of people working with me. I have the best band that I could ask for. I'm in a city where really exciting things are happening all the time. So after a long time, I really do feel like I'm happy with where I am. I just want to do it more. I just want more people to hear my music. I just want to play more stages. I want more like people to relate to my music. But I think what I have right now, I'm really happy about. I can only hope that the scale just keeps getting bigger and bigger, because I do want to reach a lot of people with my music, because I think what I find to be the strength in my music is the relatability of it. And I think that's what I really want to offer to the world. I want some people everywhere to like listen to it and feel like, oh, this song feels like it's about my life. So that's where I see myself. Like, I want people to just relate and find comfort in their own space listening to my music. That's what I really hope and dream about. Yeah.
You know, when you talk about reaching people, something just crossed my mind, you know, that if you talk about Gen Zs and millennials, probably we all are millennials here, right? But the reach of what we work on, maybe even to like entertainment in a subject format for people who really would want to end up watching this show. It's the Indie Insider, and you being an artist, I know pretty for sure for the fact that, you know, when I talk to people about, you know, meeting this person for an interview, do you know this person? The millennials might know, they might have seen a face of a particular artist, but the Gen Zs are absolutely aware of it, and then they listen to it every day.
Yeah.
A lot of artists like that. Say for instance, Anuj Jain.
Yeah.
He is a millennial, right? He is a singer whom we reach out to.
Yeah.
But the Gen Zs have a more deeper connect to it.
Yeah, his audience is for the young heart.
Exactly. So do you think the same for yourself?
Absolutely. And it's really interesting because when I started out, I was that age, you know, I was 20, 21, and I was that young person. And now, like 10 years later, I'm still doing this, but still trying to connect to an audience that is like, it feels like a really long, like me imagining being there feels like a really long time back, like being a college student, or, you know, just starting my life, like figuring out who I am. That's such an exciting, beautiful phase of your life. And the truth is that will always be our core audience as singer-songwriters, as, you know, even if you're millennials, we're still young, we're still, you know, we're still so young at heart, and the stuff that we write about is still things that we felt when we were 20, and we're still going to feel till we're 40. So I don't think that is going to change. However, I also really do want to connect to the older generation. Like, I love it. Nothing makes me happier when, you know, an uncle or an auntie who's 40, 50 comes up and says, I really like that lyric that you wrote. Because when I feel like, because I am an old school, like person in my heart, and sometimes the lyrics that I write are sound like some 50-year-old auntie writing them. While like they're really like deep lyrics that I would love the older generation to relate to as well. So I don't really feel like that's just my core audience, Gen Z. I really do want it to be music that people listen to across the ages and relate to, because it's just about experiences in your life. So, but I like the next EP that I'm releasing, I feel like the younger generation would relate to it a lot, because it's about heartbreak, and it's about breakups, it's about how messy they can get. And however, like the next album that I'm releasing is about adulting. It's about becoming older. It's about memories. It's about not talking to your friends for 10 years and then meeting them one day and everything feeling the same. So it's about like those feelings that I think people in their 30s and 40s, maybe even their 50s, can relate to. So I kind of want to explore the depths of emotions beyond putting an age limit to it. I really want to do that. Yeah.
When you talked about you being very old school, I could just go through the Instagram story post that you put up, where you visited your school to teach them music for a day, or there was some session.
I was, so you saw that was so I was judging this. So let me just say a bit about my school, because I am very, very proud about it. I was in Springdale School, Dholakwa in Delhi. Our principal, Jyoti Bose, ma'am Jyoti Bose, but she is an incredible woman. She is so like culturally rich, so innovative as a teacher and as a principal. So every year we have this thing called Inter-House Music Festival, where each house has to learn a song in a different language. So you'll have Bulgarian, one house learning Swahili, one house learning Spanish, somebody doing Qawwali. So it's literally like a world music festival in a school where kids are literally
this doesn't happen very often.
This never happens. I don't know any other school that does this. Yeah. So like from being 12, 13, that age group, you're learning Bulgarian songs. Like I know the South African national anthem by heart right now, because our school made sure we learned songs from all over the world. We got exposure to world music at such an early point in our lives. So I went back to judge that festival, the same festival that was my whole existence at some point, because that used to become our life goal that we have to win.
That's actually part of your musical journey, right?
Yeah, it's such a huge part of, and going back there was like, I felt like I was in a dream. Genuinely felt like somebody, like I had a dream and I woke up the next day. It was like, when sometimes you dream about, oh shit, I'm going to miss my bus, or, I have to give my exam. Like you have those weird dreams where you really feel like you've been pushed back into your childhood. I felt like I was living that dream going back to school. So it was just recent, and it was 100% one of the most special days of my life.
You opted for a sari, and I was like, this is the perfect thing I can imagine. Because I don't think a lot of people would do that in our generation. I think it's a very big opinion. I might be coming off it, but they would maybe opt for a proper suited dress. But going with the sari is what caught my eye, that you that you made sure that you go in that manner. I think I appreciated that a lot. It was wonderful to see that.
Thank you so much. And my teacher, Sir K.K. Chaudhary, I told you, like, he's the reason that I'm a musician today. Like, he pushed me so much. I had no ambition before music. Like, genuinely, I was a backbencher. I used to crawl out of class. I was very bad at studies. But when you find this one thing that you love, it could be a subject, it could be a skill, it could be art, it could be sports. I think it's so important to have teachers who are like, what, you're good at this and you should try it more. If I didn't have that encouraging energy by my teachers in school, I would not have the courage to do what I'm doing today. So it was really special to meet him and meet my principal and meet all my teachers, or even all the teachers that used to yell at me for like crawling out of class, or suddenly like, so proud of you, beta. So it was just too special. Yeah.
You reminded me of my school days, and I remember when I did my bachelor's in literature. And how I got into it.
Yeah.
I started reading when I was in class 7. This is my story that I'm telling her now. So my principal used to teach us, our principal only used to teach her English. Teach us English. Her name is Usha Subha. And the way she used to teach English is what got me into reading more. And later again, the same process happened in 11, 12. I changed my board from CBSE to ISC to study English because I knew that I wanted to pursue that subject for my graduation. And there also I had a teacher who used to teach us English language, grammar. And I remember when I went to school after my admissions to tell her that, ma'am, I got my admission. Did you get English? Yes. Aww. She was very happy. So I think that automatically, I think
teachers are genuinely the best people in the world. The impact that they make on people's lives is, I don't think, they're almost like as impactful as doctors and healthcare professionals that way. Like, they're so important when it comes to just finding who you are. And it can also be bad. Like, if you have a really terrible teacher, then you can end up hating the subject, as well. Like, I know people who quit music because they had a bad teacher. So I think teaching is just such a powerful thing, which it also comes with a lot of responsibility. Yeah.
I mean, I've never even told her actually that, it's because of you that I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
I never got the chance to tell her that, but I realize it almost every day when I think I am here because I could realize I wanted to do that back then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, coming to, academics, the future and everything of our career. What do you think is the future of indie music in the country? And also, what do you see it in the lines with your connection in Mumbai? How has that worked out?
Whenever this question is asked, like, what do you see as the future? I think one thing we've learned over the years is we have no idea what's going to happen in the future. And especially right now, to be very honest, I feel like the creative industry is going to go through a lot of changes when it comes to AI, when it comes to how much accessible everything is, how much information we're exposed to all the time. Art is kind of becoming more like information now. It's not really just art, it's just a notification on your phone. So things are changing too much, and I'm in a place where right now I'm just observing. I don't want to make any judgments about what the future will be like, because I would rather live in the comfort of not knowing and just embracing whatever changes happen. However, when it comes to living in this city, I think it's a good place for me to be right now. I've also lived in Delhi my whole life. I love that city. I do see myself going back there and living with my parents at some point. But for now, I really do feel like it's a city that pushes me beyond my limits, and that's what I'm really enjoying, and that's what I'm, focusing on right now. So, yeah.
All right. You've almost answered in a way what you're working on currently, but I would want to ask again, what are the things you're working on currently?
So I'm finally, first, my trajectory when it comes to releases is kind of interesting, because generally you'll see artists releasing singles and then they'll release an EP and then they'll release an album. That's the norm. That makes sense. However, I obviously chose to do something that makes no sense. So the first thing that I put out was an EP. It was a long body of work, which was much mellow. Then I put out an album called Cakewalk. And then 3 years later, I started doing singles. So I already have my long form content there somewhere collecting dust. But now finally, I really want to just go back to that of releasing a long body of work, because I think I really do want to define myself as an artist more. I want to have a overarching story about what I'm trying to say, not just one fleeting single here and there. I really do want to release an album. I want to release an EP, and that's what I'm working towards now. Of course, it'll be challenging. Of course, it'll be a little different from what everybody else is doing right now. But I do want to put out an EP this year. I'm working on it now. It's really exciting because it's songs that I've been writing over the years, and it finally it's a conceptual EP, which is something that I've always dreamt of doing. I'm working on an album, and I'm working on some really exciting collaborations with artists that I've been wanting to work with for years.
Also, how can we not talk about your latest, your big achievement? I think for you personally, because you've talked about him being your favorite since childhood. You performing it with A R Rahman. Tell us everything about it.
Yeah, definitely. So it's interesting because the last, I think, even if you backtrack to 2 months ago, it would still be true. But this question that everybody always asks, who are your inspirations? What's your dream collaboration? So obviously the one name that's always been consistent is A R Rahman, and I recently got to perform with him. It was definitely the biggest bucket list that I could ask for. And I learned so much through the process. Also, the band, the singers, the crew, everybody a part of it was incredibly inspiring. Like, not just because they were extremely talented and just great at what they do, but also because of the kind of people that they are. I think the kind of universe he's built around him, which is just driven by really pure, beautiful music, to even like step into that for a second is like too beautiful. So I'm really just happy I got to be a part of that environment. Once again, it felt like a dream. Like, some moments in your life just don't feel real. This was definitely one of them. I was singing Main To Main Hoon, which is one of my best friend Abhilasha Sinha's song, actually, that she sang for Millie. And so she can't travel, unfortunately, right now. So I was just filling in for her, which was also insane because we were both in college together. We were singing together in college. We would talk about what we want to do with our future. And to be singing her song with A R Rahman on a stage was just like something college Abhilasha and Kamakshi would never have imagined in their wildest dreams. So we spent a long time just talking about how beautiful that moment was. Of course, she should have been the one on stage singing it, but I'm happy that her friend was filling in for her than anybody else. But yeah, it was just too special, the moment, and the song is beautiful. It was 20,000 people in a crowd. I've never seen so many people ever in my life, so it was strange to be standing in front of them singing. But my parents made it for the show. My brother made it. Natasha, my manager, she made it. So it was just like all the people who've just been really supportive for my journey were there, and it was just a very, very special day. Yeah.
You another song, Titli. Tell us about that as well.
Yeah, so that was my latest release. So it's a very, I think a lot of the music that I release is intense in terms of emotions. There's a lot of darkness and a lot of, depth to it, and just a lot of power. I wanted to just release a song that's just a breezy, easy song that talks about a love that feels safe, when we think about butterflies when we're in a relationship, or when we have this massive crush on somebody, sometimes that's just our body telling us that, okay, this is too overwhelming, or that butterflies could literally just be anxiety because you just feel a certain like overwhelming emotion around a person. So kind of the song is about feeling butterflies because the person makes you feel safe, because you don't really feel that overwhelming emotions. That when you know a person is good for you, when they really do make you feel that sense of calm instead of the jitters and the feeling nervous around them all the time. So I think I wanted to flip the narrative and write a song about getting butterflies around a person who actually calms you down. So that's what the song is about.
That also reminded me of another post that you put up where you're talking about this guy, hypothetically, mutual fund. Parag.
Oh,
How did that come up? How did that idea come up?
That would never come up ever in an interview. But that was just a really dumb joke. We basically, because I'm single and I released a song about being in a safe, happy relationship. So basically I felt like an imposter through the process. And in the music video, it's just like a cute video with visuals where you're pretending to be around your boyfriend and like just feeling like happy. And there was nobody there. So I was like, okay, let's give this guy a personality. Let's call him something. So we ended up calling him Parag, which was inspired by a mutual fund. Parag, Parik, Flexi, mutual fund. So that was a really dumb joke. And yeah, that's what. And it was just strange that, like, and really, really sad that I named my imaginary boyfriend over a mutual fund. So we were just like talking about that. But I guess that's what adulting is all about. Like,
when I watched it, I'm like, oh god, this is interesting. Because nobody would have, I'm sure I never expected that it will come out as mutual fund. Like, what?
Yeah.
How did that happen? But very interesting. Well, we've come to the end of the conversation, but we'll keep in touch for sure, and you never know what comes out later. Thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck to you for your future endeavors.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.